I was on a spring break trip down in Cancun with my friends.
And Brad went running into a wave, and I watched it. And he dove in, and then I just saw him floating. Something was wrong, and I just knew it, so I screamed and went running for the water.
I went to dive under a wave, and I just, boom, couldn't move anything in my body. And then I gasped for air once. I got a deep breath, and I just held it until I got saved.
He immediately said, "Mama, I'm paralyzed." So we turned him over so he could breathe. And I know he said, "Mama, I don't want to live like this."
I got surgery in Mexico where they removed 2 discs between C4, C5, and C5, C6.
He actually got into surgery in about 9 hours, which is impressive even by US standards. So huge credit to that surgeon in Mexico.
I was put into a medically induced coma because the swelling had come up to C3. And once it hits C3, your diaphragm stops working, so I therefore couldn't breathe on my own. And I was flown back to St. Louis and put in Barnes ICU. I was intubated, so I couldn't breathe, I couldn't move, I couldn't talk. It was awful. Water polo season had just started. And
1, 2, 3, flags!
it's just something that I never wanted to happen.
Water polo is still really a difficult thing because he was such a top athlete.
I just want to walk again.
So when we made the decision to come to Ranken, Jordan, we were just so thankful to have some place local here, and it was definitely the right decision.
When Brad arrived here, he had a feeding tube in through his nose, down into his stomach.
He was very impaired. He had no movement of his legs, very little movement of his arms.
Brad always had a smile on his face. He had rough days, just like anybody would, but Brad was always able to push through.
Brad had difficulty moving that left hand. He had very limited movement, so he was not able to pick up stuff. And through outpatient occupational therapy, he's now able to pick up small objects.
Brad made progress rather quickly. He had more strength in his right side than left, but getting stronger day to day with what he could move on his left side.
With all the progress I've been making, it just like every little bit you're like, I'm getting better, I'm getting better.
He could take a step, and that was a big deal one day. And then 3 days later, he was taking 5 steps.
It was really a turning point for me when in therapy, they put me on the parallel bars and I got all the way to the end and I was like, wow, I really can do this. It took me 22 steps to get across the parallel bars. Now it takes me like 3.
Brad never refused therapy. He always wanted to work. He always wanted to work harder.
Ranken Jordan helped me get better because they pushed me to work hard and got me to therapy when I needed to go to therapy.
Brad is very motivated, very strong-willed. He knew what he wanted to achieve, and Brad set out to do it.
I got a chance to talk to Brad's neurosurgeon, and he told me that Brad is among the top 1% in terms of functional recovery and outcome for kids with injuries like his.
The right side of my body is almost perfect. My right leg's very strong. My right hip's like a tad bit weak, but motor skill-wise, I'm all good on the right side.
Brad's far exceeded any medical professional's expectations for his recovery to date.
A big part of how well Brad has done is the environment and the people and the culture that has supported him along the way in his recovery.
Brad is one of the greatest patients we've ever had at Ranken Jordan. He came to Ranken Jordan, he always had a great attitude, had a smile on his face. I call him our rock star.
Ranken Jordan, such a friendly place, so kid-friendly. All the employees are smiling and happy.
Brad is so incredibly special because of the effect that he has on other people.
He always had a positive impact on the other patients that were around him. The younger kids especially always loved him. He was always positive for them and would give them encouragement.
The people that would come into his room were smiling, and he would joke with them and they would joke back. And that was just a great thing for him because it really kept him up.
If I didn't come to Ranken Jordan, I feel like I wouldn't have such a positive outlook.
So I just really believe that the positive energy here at Ranken Jordan had a tremendous impact on Brad and our family, and just kept us motivated, kept him motivated to keep going and pushing forward.
Ranken Jordan has been an integral part of the process and this journey that we're all on together.
There's a lot of good people here, all of them, with good hearts that want the best for your kid.
As unlucky as Brad was to have sustained this injury, clearly he's very lucky to be where he is now. And certainly Ranken Jordan was lucky to be a part of this amazing journey.
While he was here to get better for himself, he made the whole organization better by being here.
He's an amazing human being, and the sky's still the limit.
Ranken Jordan is a bridge to life. It's a bridge to walking. For me, it's a bridge to home. South County supported me like crazy, and St. Louis as a whole, Lindbergh as a whole. I got visitors all the time coming up to Ranken Jordan and helping me get through. I ain't staying in a wheelchair. I gotta get up, I gotta get back to where I was, and that's how it's gotta be. And Ranken Jordan's helped me do that.
You would think that Brad's discharge, walking out with his friends and family, would be the happy ending for a tragic story. That's just not the case with Brad. The happy ending gets better every day. He's now the ringleader of a rugby team that happens to include former inpatients Kylan Sampa and Drew Hessler. Brad challenged Blues center Patrick Berglund to a free throw shooting contest, and he beat him. And I'm really impressed with Brad's golf game. He has a really smooth swing. Tomorrow's happy ending for Brad will be even better.
There's a perseverance, and I think there's that saying that we're all braver than we know. I'm glad every day that I have him and that he's with us.
Ranken Jordan makes it happen.